Where's Moscona at? Matthew. Where's Scone at? Yeah, if you had LSU to cover, you're pissed off for sure. Scone. Buddy?
Hey, bro. Bro, set on a take or what, dog?
Tell me you didn't have LSU.
I did not. I can't do it. Honestly, I can't. Hang on. Hang on. Say, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, set on a take or what, dog?
I mean, like, twice, dude. For God's
Bro,
sake.
thank
24-17.
God.
Even Tom, did you hear Tom Hart make reference to it?
Yeah. He goes,
funny.
what was the point? What was the point spread? Cole's like
13
and a half, I'm told. He goes, I'm told.
That's so funny.
Oh shit, that's funny. No, you know what though? I bet with my father-in-law on every LSU game. We just do steak. Like we have a running total of steak dinner bets for the whole season. So like, you know, we come up with whatever spread we want, and then it's just like, you know, at the end of the season, it's who won more steaks, right?
What was the spread tonight?
And so he had Arkansas at 9, so I did lose a steak tonight. That's about the extent of it. Oh, dude, bro, but how about your boy though? Hang on, I'm sharing all this stuff right now. So I had A&M winner, I had Bama winner, I had Notre Dame winner, Texas winner, Georgia winner.
Bro.
My only loss today is I had Colorado plus 5.5, and I've got
Who went in there and beat them?
Who Colorado?
Who went into
Washington State?
Washington State.
Who beat Washington State?
No. Washington State beat. Who did they beat?
Washington State beat Colorado today.
Right.
I had Colorado plus 5.5. So I lost that. That's my only loss today. But I got Boston College plus 18.5. So it's 27-20. So any points here, and I'll cover there too. So I'm like, all right, boys, having a pretty good day today, man.
Coney, who you like tomorrow, bro? Beat me.
I don't know, bro. Ask me on Saturdays, dude. I'm riding the heater on Saturdays, man. I've done pretty well this football season, man. College football.
Our boy Mincy's been doing all right on Sundays, so maybe if I could ride you on Saturdays and Sunday would be good. All right, man. You asked me at halftime what we wanted to see. Functional offense was hopeful, but man, that was they actually got worse in the second half, which was tough to do.
Hold on, dog. Let me pour my drink first, man, before I start talking about this bullshit.
Happy whiskey and wine, brother.
Yeah, hang on. I need to get this thing in order. And did I share the right thing, or did I share halftime? Oh, this isn't it. I'm on the wrong one. Oh, crap. Hang on. Sorry. I'm sharing the wrong thing.
Scotty, you're drunk.
I'm actually not. I haven't had a sip of alcohol all day.
All that. Scone is hammered.
I'm not, Paul. I wish I was. Not. Hopefully soon to be. Uh, I shared the one. There it is. I shared the one from halftime. The boy's an idiot, dude. I can't get it. I'm just laughing at Bro's set, man.
Twice.
Bro's set going down
Twice.
twice. Oh, I feel for everybody who had
Uh,
the 13 and a half.
Gosh, man. Van Pelt's going to make a segment of that. That's a bad beat,
Oh,
bro.
dude,
That is the
that's bad
bad
beat for
beat of
sure.
the year. Maybe the weekend. I mean,
For
definitely
sure.
the weekend, maybe the year.
For sure. All right, hang on. One more share here. Gosh, dog it. Hurry up, man. Not you, this stupid page. You can just start if you want to go, man. I'll finish sharing this. I'm so scatterbrained right now. All right, there we go. We're shared. All right, I'm drinking some Whistle. A buddy of mine tweeted me a picture that he finished a bottle of Whistle Pig 12-year Old World Cast finish. So this is one of my faves, dude. Absolutely nectar of the gods. So your boy's gonna make it work. Whew. All right. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. All right.
Little Dave
That's so
Matthews
beautiful.
theme, The Dreaming Tree. One down.
Hey.
And then one to little Kendall Jackson. Cabernet
Hey,
Sauvignon.
KJ. I like
Winter's
it. Little
Reserve,
KJ.
bro. For the cool weather.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. All right, bro. What you got?
I hate LSU's offense. I feel like I'm watching the last decade of LSU football. I think it's a lot of the same thing that we talked about last week. If LSU wants to, if they want to cross the proverbial hump, get over the hump, I mean, they've got to become more creative offensively. I mean, tonight was an opportunity really to get out of the last couple of weeks' woes. I mean, kind of right the ship and give yourself some confidence in closing the season. And man, just I think it's a combination of scheme and personnel. Their offensive line, they're obviously undermanned up front. And this is back-to-back weeks where they've just been and back-to-back weeks, and also, consistently throughout the first part of the year. I mean, they've just not been able to block. All in all. So, I mean, so that's the personnel part. And I think when you look at the scheme part, that they just, again, the same type of criticism that I had during Miles' time. You don't use the talent. You don't develop the talent. You don't, like Jamar Chase in the game early on makes an impact. And where does he go? Right. I mean, things that work.
Where's Terrace Marshall?
Yeah, where is Terrace Marshall? Even though I know that he was running the flu this week and that he missed 2 days of practice, that he was sick. But just
Where's he been the past
overall,
8 games?
Right, absolutely, I'm with you. It's just a lot of what we've seen. It's just a lot of the same exact thing of what you've seen, and a lot of the same thing that you've criticized, a lot of the same thing that you've, predictability, everything that goes in of watching LSU over the last decade. It feels like you're watching the same product to me.
I'm going back and reading comments. Someone said over under F-bombs from Scone tonight, said over under 2.5. What do you think, man? I don't know. I'm not super pissed tonight. I don't know why you asked that fucking question. I mean, it's just ding.
Fuck, I don't know, man. Probably the fucking ever. Hey, how about Nas
what,
Reed?
man?
I'm just kidding. Not yet.
Nas Reed is awesome, dude. Oh my god. So, I mean, what's weird? Like, okay, so a couple of things. Someone said, I just read a comment that this team sucks. Actually said that this team effing sucks, and I don't care what the record is. So, Miami lost again today. Yeah. Auburn lost again today. They're staring down a 7-5 record. Florida, not great. Needed a miracle rally today.
Florida did the same thing that Nick Brissett did. They were on the goal line and kneeled with 2 minutes left and could have covered.
Yeah. I saw that, man. I think Georgia is clearly a great win, but I think, you try to make sweeping conclusions early in the season, and we did that with LSU's schedule. But realistically, you look around and you go, okay, well, like some of those wins actually weren't maybe as good as we thought they were at the time. And LSU, they got them, man, and they take care of business in the next 2 weeks. They're still looking at a 10-2 season, but I do understand a lot of the feelings right now, man, that people are saying because it looks similar, and the hope with the coaching change, and when you hired Ensminger this year, it was the hope. And Steve was super optimistic that he even said like I'm gonna give LSU the fans the offense they want, and it's just not happening, man. I mean, you're 103rd in the country in total offense. Tonight, LSU put up. I got the stats. LSU put up 359, 195 pass and 164 rushing. I mean, really, what 24 points. What separated the game was that drive where you ran it 13 times against just a bad team. The creativity that you say we're lacking. I mean, how about I guess like this on that last drive, like where they're trying to run out the clock on the second down play, they run an out route to Torrey Carter. I mean, I get it. All right, so that's different, but you're trying to ice the game, and you throw it to the fullback who you hadn't touched the ball all day. Why can't I see Terrace Marshall there? Why can't I see Jamar Chase there? Why can't I see any of the freak show receivers that you got that you're throwing an out route to? Why can't I see? Give me Racey McMath in that tight end again.
Where has he been since he made an impact on the passing game versus Ole Miss? I mean, like that's the stuff that drives me crazy. Stuff that works.
I mean, I guess
that you never go back to.
The thing is, Jordy, it's just the thing about with Les and Cam, or even before Cam was here, it was just Les's teams. They go with guys they trust. And, I think you're seeing something similar here, man. It's just not different. It's just, I don't know if it's Steve or who's running the rotations, the personnel rotations, but they're just running guys out there, I think, that they trust and not guys that give them a chance to be dynamic. And so when you have a chance against a bad team to put them away early and you don't do it, then you end up with a situation like that where, they score with 5 and change to go, and you got to run out the clock, man. Otherwise, they're getting the ball back with a chance to go tie it or win it. There's just no reason to be in a situation like that against a 2-7 football team, man. Arkansas is a dreadful. I think Vanderbilt went into that building and scored 45,
yeah,
man.
They
did. North Texas blew out that team. And it's the same old song and dance with Arkansas, man. And I get it that LSU don't get up for this game. I get it. But at the same time, man, you got to be able to be dominant against bad teams, even when you don't get up. So, just annoying, man. It's annoying to watch. It's not fun. The first half was boring. The game as a whole was hideous. And the shame of it is, dude, this is a great night of college football. You get some really compelling games, and we're sitting there watching that bullshit.
No, I'm with you in the sense of there's an excuse built in, I guess, if you don't want to get up for this game with all the emotion that's in it last week. But if you are who you want to be and who you claim that the program is trying to change the direction to, this is the type of game that you have to come out and be dominant in. When you're outmanned, you outman the opponent in every spot. You're better than them, and for them to continue to be around the game at the end. I mean, bro, they're an onside kick away from.
Dude, I mean, I get it. I mean, and dude, to take it a step further, if old boy O'Grady doesn't taunt,
that's right.
on the touchdown, you're not getting the ball at the 40. What'd you say, dude? Drew's here and he's wreaking havoc.
I need to hear this.
Mana.
What up, Drew boy? What up, E-Rock?
Drew just said happy birthday.
Home Depot.
And Home Depot.
Thanks, come on.
What? No, what?
Woo!
Oh, he's fired up, Dad.
Show.
You didn't. It is Daddy's show. You didn't watch the same game I did, kiddo. Would you close it? Okay, thanks. Sorry,
Paul
dude.
Batch. Drew is even triggered.
right. Dude, I'll run. You know what's so weird, man? Like, I'm sitting there watching this game, and I'm charting and taking notes like I normally do. And I'm just thinking to myself, none of this is going to matter because they're gonna run away from this team. Hey, kiddo, what are you doing in here, man? Hey, kiddo. Dude, Drew keeps busting.
It's all
the
good,
door.
bro.
Sorry.
He knows where the party's at.
Yeah.
Whiskey and wine.
Huh?
Register Bar. Don't forget Allison Collins on stage right now. Go check him out downtown, 333 3rd Street.
Bro,
But the
Mike,
Facebook page is tied to this post, so hit him up there at the rest you guys got. But Allison Collins is on stage now.
I just got a kid in here. Like, okay.
What?
Thank you. All right.
Go get your blue blanket.
All right. Dude, sorry about that, man. Hey, man, somebody's happy tonight.
Look how big Drew is, bro.
Yeah, man. 4, dude. It's 4, man. 4.5, actually. So, onward and upward, man. No, man, it's all saying, like, I got chart on my notes thinking, like, man, it's not going to matter. They're going to run away from this team. Nobody's going to care about the nuance of the game or any of the, the specifics with it. And, I mean, I thought Kerry Vincent played pretty well. I thought the interception at midfield was good. Remember, he had the sack on the opening possession of the ball game. I thought he played well. They dude, funny thing. So Gordy, I texted Gordy from the sideline. I was like, hey, man, what's up with Fulton? Fulton went down at at the end of the first half. And he called me. So this was in like third quarter. He calls me from the sideline, and it sounds like he's in his office. I'm like, he's on the sideline at Reynolds Razorback Stadium, and it's like that's how dead of an atmosphere that was. He never would call me from the sideline of the game. He's like, yeah, man, well, so he said Fulton, it was an ankle. They taped it up. He could have gone back in, but they didn't feel like it was 24-3. Didn't feel like they needed him. So they said, but he should be good for next week. But so, man, we saw, Battle was out, then Todd Harris went out. So you're down to Jacoby Stevens. Fulton goes out, and so then they're rotating Terrence Alexander. They kick Kerry Vincent down. They put in Terrence Alexander in because Kelvin Joseph went down too. They said he was feeling some like hamstring tightness. So I don't know that he was like down on the field, so we didn't notice that. But so they got really thin in the second.
Yeah, they did real quick.
So I mean,
real quick.
In part, yeah. So in part, that's I think why maybe late Arkansas was able to get some of those chunk plays. You just had different guys in there. I thought we talked about Giles at halftime, dude. I
don't get it.
I don't get it. If he were the sure-handed guy that was saving, like people, coaches always talk about like hidden yardage. Drew, you killing me, baby.
It's all good, bro. It's all good. It's all good.
He just walked in there and said, "You poo-poo."
Yes.
No,
offense.
No.
Poo-poo.
We all yes. Off. The offense is poo-poo.
Shit.
Fresh market. That is the iPad.
Anybody seen the T-Bob's Ideal Market TV commercial?
No, what do you do?
Just keep it on WAFB at some point. It'll run, but it is
okay.
It is classic, man.
Drew had 13 and Drew had plus 13 and a half. Oh, it's funny. Someone
Drew
said
for AD.
Hey, bro. I mean, bro, look, I'll run through the other notes I have. We'll get y'all's questions. If y'all don't mind, also please hit the share button. That's a big help for us, man. Shares are how we spread the word on this thing, man. So if you're watching on your phone, just hit the share button. Justin Jefferson played a good game, man. 40-yard catch and run on the touchdown was really nice. He had another one that was like a 35-yarder. Catch and run. He had a 16-yarder on a 2nd and 8. That was the only reception on the drive where they had where they ran it 13 times. Yeah, he caught LSU's second drive of the second half where Clyde scored the touchdown.
Yeah.
He had the quick slant, and then he had that 35-yarder where he caught it, spun out, and then ran up the right sideline and got like an extra 15 yards. Like, I thought Jefferson played well. I mean, he's turned into a really nice player. But it feels like he's their own, like all they got or all they trust or all Burrow trusts on offense, man. It's just
I hated to see
I don't know,
no
man.
catches tonight for Foster Mora. I thought he was going to have a big opportunity tonight. If you looked at the stat lines against Arkansas, I mean, Texas A&M was a Stonebreaker had a big game against him. Alabama's tight end Irv Smith had a big game against him. I thought that
Yeah.
Foster Mora was going to have an impact on the game. No receptions for him today. I'm with you on Jefferson. Turned into a really good player, but he is the absolute security for Burrow. I mean, he looks to go there with so many other guys. I mean, Stephon Sullivan didn't have a catch tonight. D. Anderson only had one grab. Derek Dillon, I thought, had a nice catch and run, but he only had 2 receptions. Jamar Chase, I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of Whiskey and Wine. Early on, a couple of targets for him, 2 catches, 19 yards. But, I mean, it's been a constant theme on this post-game show, just kind of asking where the consistency is for him in the offense, just because of the type of playmaker he is on catch and run situations, man. I mean, Jefferson's a surprise in that market as far as his ability after the catch, but I think that Jamar Chase, just from a natural selection standpoint, he would be I just don't. I don't get that. That's my frustration with the play calling, with the offense. You bring up Terrace Marshall, and I'm with you on Marshall. Chase is another one. I mean, John Trey Kirkland got in the game tonight. I wonder why it's taken him until the 11th, to the 10th week of the season to start getting some action, when really you're looking for a playmaker there. And the Giles complaint I have is that they tell you that they're going to play the best man. And it doesn't take you and I, who cover sports every day, or anybody that watches with any type of passion in LSU football, just to say, look, man, there's obviously better options than 12 at wide receiver. Yet he's still back there, and he's still out there in the rotation, and he's still at the punt return spot. I think it's very hard-headed, man. I mean, it just looks hard-headed. Do you have any idea why Ogeron was jumping on Greg McMahon?
Dude, the only thing I can think, and I don't know for sure, the only thing I can think, that was the end of the quarter where they were about to punt, and the punt ended up being the first play of the next quarter. So I don't know if it was they didn't have the punt team ready, or if he wanted to get him out there before the end of the quarter to get the punt off, to have sort of like a free play, like an untimed play, essentially. I'm guessing with that, but that was LSU had been stopped. That was when the LSU got sacked on back-to-back plays. Burrow got sacked and fumbled, but they recovered. And then on 3rd and 11, he got sacked again. And LSU was going to punt, and that's when the cameras caught him, and they went to commercial break because it was the end of the quarter. And they came back to start the second quarter, and that's whenever he punted. So
he was in his ass.
I don't know what. I mean, I guess we could ask on Monday.
Yeah.
It is Tell the Truth Monday. We'll see if he actually gives us an answer. I'm with you on Giles, punt return. I mean,
how many times can we say it?
I know. It's just at this point they're going to keep running the kid out there. Someone asked with all caps and exclamation points to please give an explanation about not scoring at the end of the game. I don't know if they told Brissett to go down. My guess is he just at the end of the game was thinking to himself, let me just get down.
Tom Hart said after the 3rd down give that Burrow's looking at the sideline asking, what do we do?
Yeah. Now at that point, okay, so at that point now they can take a knee, and run out the clock. So I think they're saying, do you want us to run a play or do you want me to take a knee? And then they actually tried to run the play and didn't score. I guess so, man. But I doubt that on the first run that Brissett was told, don't go.
No, I don't think so either. I think that he thought he was making the right football play.
Yeah, which I completely disagree with.
I do too.
I mean score points. I mean, it's just you could always fumble a snap. There could be a scoop and score. Two scores is 2 scores. Yeah, man, it's for sure.
I mean,
with a minute left in the game.
Did you see that? You saw what happened Texas A&M Ole Miss today early on. Fumble, scoop, and score from the 1 yard line. The Ole Miss kid goes 9 yards.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm trying to see if I can get this. I'm trying to get Clemson wins 27-7. So I lost another one. So your boy goes 5-2 on the day. It ain't a bad day, bro.
You playing this Cal USC game?
You know what? Did it start?
Yeah,
I
USC
did.
just scored 7-zip.
Okay, I have USC minus. I took USC minus 5.5.
Okay,
So
well, so you're good. I saw early on. I saw a comment.
yeah,
Yeah, my bad. I saw a comment. Somebody said it feels like we lost, and to me, that's what I say, and feels like the last decade of the program, right?
yeah,
Like I mean, like
it's not fun.
the air has been sucked out. Like
Yeah, man.
there's no there's no days of celebration when you get a win because there's no room for comfort on the creativity of the offense, and that doesn't look like there's any light to be had at the end of this, man. I mean, um, I just think for LSU to be beating their head against the wall with the same problems, to have a very effective defense, to have the best defensive coordinator in the game, arguably. You pay him as if he is.
Mm-hmm.
You now have a special teams department that runs very functionally, and you can't see that the offense is holding this program back from being a championship contender year in, year out. And look, man, I steal the same line that you give every day, every post game here on Whiskey and Wine, and probably do it every afternoon after further review. The examples are, it's not long. The examples aren't long in what you have to find that people that have gone in and said, look, I've got to adapt to the ways of college football and change my program so that they can continue to compete. But the names speak for itself. Nick Saban brought in
Mm-hmm.
Lane Kiffin. As soon as Kiffin was down, he had Steve Sarkisian waiting in the wings. As soon as Sarkisian moves on, he's got Loxley calling plays now. I mean, you look at Bob Stoops and what he did. He gave the Oklahoma football program he gave the keys to the program to a kid that was 31 years old. I mean, it was Lincoln Riley, 31 years old when he hired him in Norman. He gave him the keys to the program and said, look,
Yeah.
man, here's the deal. Offenses in college football are changing. We have great resources. We recruit at a high level. We're going to get you talent, but you got to make sure and keep us up to date on what's going on in college football. I'm trusting you to do that. And for that, Oklahoma's been in the playoffs, 3 out of the first 4 years?
Mm-hmm.
And LSU's playing they're playing in the Music City Bowl, and they're playing in the Houston Bowl. But they're playing with first round picks. And that is what they're still doing. And if you can't adapt in college football and you can't look down the road and see that the best coach in the game is doing it of all time, Saban finally said, look, if they're going to continue to sub these guys in and they're not going to allow us to do it, you know what? We're just going to start running that offense. Yep. And here he is 6 championships later. And that's what you call your rival. And that's what's holding you back. That's LSU's problem is that, look, man, they can get into a slugfest and play you in a defensive struggle all night. But as soon as they call on you to score points, I mean, LSU's as predictable, man, as you can find in a little league team on a Saturday morning in Baton Rouge. I mean, they're so – it's just the same old dance, the same old stuff that you've watched for the last decade.
Yeah, man. A lot of people are asking the whys and the hows. I'm reading the comments as you're talking there, and someone said this feels like a 7-5 team should feel. And the thing is, man, like a couple of things on that. Number one, everyone's going to have a great day at least once a year. Everyone's going to have an awful day at least once a year, right? Like you're going to play your best game one day, you're going to play your worst game. Even the best teams will have their worst day. Clemson was really good last year. They lost to Syracuse. Ohio State's a pretty good team. They got blown out by Purdue this year. So, like, you look at LSU against Georgia, awesome game plan. Executed perfectly. Like, that was a lot of fun, right? I mean, I had that watching LSU play Georgia this year was like the most fun I've had watching LSU in a long time. They felt wide open. They felt like reckless.
Well, they felt game planned, man. They felt like they had put a plan together and they were following it.
Yeah, man. LSU's defense was fast and athletic. Like, they converted point. It was fun, man. Like, they were just constantly on pressure. That was one extreme of this season. The other extreme of this season is probably something like tonight. I wouldn't even say Florida because I think LSU played okay against Florida. I mean, They just turned the ball over. Tough place to play. It wasn't like they played shitty in that game, man. It was just they made some mistakes. They had penalties.
And Jacob
man.
Phillips is a good football player.
Yeah. But like tonight, they really didn't play well against a bad team. But that's the super frustrating thing, though. Even when you don't play well against a team that bad, you should still beat them handily.
Right.
And you didn't. I'm reading all these comments of people saying, about who do you bring in to fix the offense and all, and what changes do you make? And I don't have those answers, but at this point we've said it enough. Like you can look around and recognize what college football is becoming, and if your ambition is to become nationally relevant, like get to a playoff, well, you're going to have to beat Alabama, and the only way you can beat them is to look at the types of teams that beat them, and it's not what LSU does, and it's not what Steve Ensminger is doing this year. It's just, you can be really good, and maybe they'll go on and win 10 games this year, and that would be a fine season. But at the same time, I think you recognize that it's just, like I say all the time, bro, winning masks deficiencies, and LSU's won a lot of games this year, but they got some serious deficiencies. And if you just keep saying, what do you want? We won 10 games. Well, you're never going to address the things that are wrong, and that's where this is right now.
Here you go. I got one from Tony Giacchetti writes in, guys, question, is there any chance that O will be forced to hire a real offensive coordinator, or will he be forced, or will he be stuck with this for the next few years? And please don't extend this guy until he proves he can follow the steps in the binder with it, blah, blah, blah. First off, I think he's getting the extension because he's going to have an opportunity to win 10 games or against this schedule.
You mean Steve or O?
I think that Orgeron's going to get an extension.
Okay.
But I don't think that he's going to be forced from anybody in the administration to make any type of move to his staff. I think that Orgeron needs to recognize, which I complimented him for last year, in recognizing that the personality differences between he and Canada, which he should have figured out on the front end in the interview process, but he didn't, that he figured out once he had gotten that once he had figured that out, that he had made the move. And he came out and said, look, it's my fault. I should have made it, I did that wrong, but here's where I want to make the change. Okay, if that was the personality difference and you guys couldn't work together, then you have to recognize that the production angle now is what's limiting you. And if he really wants to take the program to the next level, this is one of those tough decisions that you have to make. And, I was very critical about Miles and building LSU football into a fraternity the last couple of years. He would open up press conferences and introducing new coaches as saying, like, this guy stood in my wedding. Well, who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can he call a game or not? You're going to pay this guy $1.5 million, but and Ensminger has that feel with Orgeron that they've been together in a lot of places. He trusts him. He's somebody that he confides in and that he bounces off of ideas with. But you also have to recognize that if this offense isn't evolving and developing talent and putting your program in the best chance to be effective on that side of the ball, then, it's your responsibility to make that change. And I think that he's going to be forced with that decision at the end of the year, and whichever way he goes is going to look at the future of the program.
Okay, so just very, practically speaking, reading it the way a lot of people are asking it, the way I interpret it is, not will there be, external pressure, will Joe Oliva go to Ed Orgeron and say, you have got to fire Steve Ensminger or replace him as offensive coordinator? I think that's what a lot of people are asking.
I do not think that will happen.
I don't think that happens at all. I think you've hired this man. You've paid him $3.5 million to be your head coach. You're riding with him. It's his program. For God's sakes, they let him fire Matt Canada after 1 year. They paid Matt Canada an absurd buyout to go away after 1 year. They shouldered the embarrassment of that because that's what Ed wanted to do. So if you're an athletic director, you put that coach in place, you're going to do whatever he feels like he needs to run a successful program. So if Ed says to, let's just say hypothetically, that this season goes how, and Ed sits down with the league and says, look, here's why I feel like our offense is heading in the right direction. Here were some of the issues we had and why I think we're correcting them and we're on the right path, then Joe says, okay. I mean, look, Steve got a 2-year contract worth $800K per year. So he's under contract this year and next year as the offensive coordinator. So, like, I don't think that Ed is going to feel super pressured to move on. But I also say, let me see how the stretch run goes. Like, Mississippi State was a miserable offensive day. You didn't score against Alabama. This was another day where you were stuck in neutral much of the day. Now you've got Rice and then A&M. If you go to College State, you're going to beat Rice. But if you go to College Station, Jordy, I got news for you, man. Like, I've watched enough of A&M this year, and their record doesn't pop. I get it; they're 6-4 right now, but their rush offense is really good, and LSU has had trouble stopping competent rush offenses. Kellen Mond is playing better at quarterback, and their rush defense is exceptional. The one thing A&M doesn't do is the one thing Arkansas doesn't do, and that's defend the pass. And you couldn't take advantage of that tonight. So you may have a real issue with A&M in 2 weeks. Like LSU fans need to prepare themselves for that. Like that's like a sincerely challenging game that you could lose on the road. Like that's probably going to be a field goal type spread, and it's going to be really uncomfortable in the fourth quarter in College Station. So
you go play like you did tonight. You get run out of Kyle Field.
No doubt. So my point is, and I know there's a long way of answering this, but like after you beat Georgia, if your sequence then is you sludge through a win over Mississippi State, you lose to Alabama, you don't score, you look terrible against Arkansas, but you find a way to win, you play Rice, and then you lose at A&M, well, brother, that's half your season where you look like garbage, and doesn't instill a lot of confidence. And maybe if it goes that way for the next 2 weeks, win or lose, maybe Ed does look around and say, okay, what can we do? Even if it's not replacing Steve, it's what can we do to inject, some modern concepts into this offense. Because what they're doing right now, bro, like it's hard for me to accept that this is what Steve had in mind that was going to actually work. I mean, this is tough to watch, dude. This is just like the last decade.
It's regressed is the problem. Like there was a stretch there during that middle part of the season, even up to the Georgia game, where you're saying, okay, now you're kind of starting to see the offensive playbook evolve. They're including more people. You're seeing Joe Burrow run more. You're seeing more of this RPO. He's having the autonomy to step up to the line of scrimmage and change plays. But really, like the Mississippi State game, Alabama game, and then again here tonight, now trending in the direction of regression. Just like Burrow's confidence has gotten, it shrunk. It seems like the playbook has shrunk. And you would hope under year one of somebody who's in this permanent position that as the year would go on, that you would steadily see the development of the players, the offense evolve, the playbook evolve, and go deeper into it. But, that's, again, another example of the similarities in feeling like you're watching the last decade of LSU football. And, right, wrong, or indifferent, this regime, this coaching staff, they compare themselves to the past staff a lot. Whether it's talking about cleaning up recruiting deficiencies or whether it's talking about trying to find a new offense. But as much as they want to recognize that and try to run away from it, they look very similar in their actions, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Bro, they're crushing you for having the folder too close to the camera. When you do the light, it's so close to the camera. Don't be a square. Someone said, I don't understand the total negativity around the program. I mean, it's not that hard to understand, is it? I mean, 20 years ago, a season like this, people are like, they're on fire about it. It's, man, it wasn't pretty today, but Tigers found a way. They got to win and go to a really nice bowl. Like, it's just expectation. That's all it is. I mean, it's whatever your expectation is will alter how your reaction is to things. Yeah. So, I mean, if LSU fans who had become accustomed for a decade to competing for championships, like you realize you're not there. Like you're not even close to that. So the win tonight against Arkansas in the micro is nice, but in the macro, it just all it does is shine a light on a bigger problem in your program, man. It's that you can't score, and if you can't score and you can't play competent offense, then you're not going to be able to win some big time games. And if you're not doing that, then all you're doing is going 9-3 and playing in an okay bowl game, which is basically what got Les run out of here. So, I mean, it's not that hard to realize why people are upset. I mean, you just went to Fayetteville and played a crappy football team, a terrible football team, and had to hang on by your nails at the end because you couldn't find a way to put away a team that's the worst team in the SEC by a mile. That's a problem. I mean, that's why people are. I can't believe I actually had to take time to sit there and explain that. But for those that are wondering, that's why. It ain't that hard, man. But you know what, man? I am curious to see what Ed does with the staff. I don't know how much you've heard, Jordy. I mean, I've heard that they may lose Tommy Robinson. He may want to jump to the NFL. Jerry Sullivan, I think, is going to retire. It's not that he can't coach receivers, man. It's the schedule. It's the reason he was retired to begin with. So you may have a couple of spots on your offensive staff to bring guys in. And I think you will. It's it's rare, right? I mean, when was the last time an entire staff returned year to year? It just never happens. Like, it's just such a transient profession. Like, guys are going to leave for one reason or another.
We were talking to Will Wade on Tuesday morning, and that was one of the highlights of his offseason. Was keeping his staff intact and just talking about how rare that was.
Yeah. And even in basketball, you're talking about a much smaller staff too, whereas football, you're talking about 10 full-time assistants now. So I think he's going to have an opportunity to bring some new blood into the staff. It's just going to be interesting to see what direction he goes. Does he go with guys that he knows that he's comfortable with? Or, does he continue along the Tommy Robinson, James Craig, Jerry Sullivan, Steve Ensminger path where he's just hiring guys he knows? Or does he reach out and go and find guys that might be the best guys to come and help make his offense better?
Well, and look, by the data that he has provided you would say that it would be the latter decision. But I would say for the betterment of the program and the future of it, he needs to look outside the box. It needs to be somebody that you may be uncomfortable with from a personality standpoint, and you can't, over the headset say, look, this is what we're going to run. We have to run this right now because that's what I said. I mean, you just got to let him go. And I hope he does that, man, because, it's too much of a proven commodity now. It's too much of a proven fact that offense is what wins against the big-time opponents. Especially opponents on your roster, like on your schedule. Watching Nick Fitzgerald in Mississippi State against Alabama today, their defense gave them an opportunity by knocking Tua out of that game that they were 3 touchdowns down going into the fourth quarter. If you have a competent quarterback that can put pressure on Alabama's defense, that should be a losable game for those guys, man.
Yep.
And when you're single-minded offensively and you're just so predictable, you can win 8-9 games, and you just can't get over the hump. And it's time for LSU to recognize that if they want to recruit on this level and they want to call these recruits down and call them out for choosing Alabama over LSU because Patrick Surtain gave you why. He told you why. He said, look, man, I love LSU. I've been wanting to go to LSU since I'm 5 years old, but Saban told me I'm going to play for championships, and that's what I want to do. And that's what they're doing, and they're doing it because they're evolving. And LSU has to evolve. There's no ifs, ands, buts about what has to happen for LSU's program to go to the next level, and they can continue to play 8, 9 wins, 10 wins. They have an opportunity for 10 wins this season. But you're still on the outside of the playoff looking in. And what are we playing for? What are you playing for? What is it about? And the golden age that got kicked off in 2001 for LSU football taught you that you have the resources, you've got the recruiting grounds, you've got the facilities, you've got the administration, you got the backing, you got the money, you got the support to be a championship program. Well, then hell, be that, man. You know, like be a championship program. Don't settle for the damn, Leonard Fournette's bowl record in the Music City Bowl,
Dude.
Citrus Bowl, and the fucking Houston Bowl. That's a
Texas Bowl.
joke. That is a joke.
Wait, he didn't play in the Citrus Bowl. He
Yeah,
played.
well, he didn't play in the Citrus Bowl because they told him to stay home.
Yeah. So all he played
The
in was the
Music
Music
City Bowl and
the Texas Bowl,
where he was both MVPs of the game.
Yeah. Dude, someone asked about Kendall Browse's contract. He signed a 2-year deal at Houston. He's making $400K per
Shit,
year.
Matt, I'd throw money at Major. Yeah, I'd give Major something to think about if I'm LSU.
Well, if their season keeps going the way it is, and they lost again today, man, they lost to Temple at home. Tillman Fertitta said before when Major got hired, like Major knows the expectations. We'll see. I don't know, man. Look, someone asked, is Salisbury coming in? I don't know how do you feel about that, the Sean Salisbury?
I mean,
thing?
like, I get bringing Salisbury in for another voice to help you out with the quarterbacks. But look, let me tell you, one thing that I've always believed, and look no further again than Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and look at the way that Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts speak about Dan Enos. You need a quarterbacks coach on staff that deals with the quarterbacks every single – and the part that pisses me off about Enos is that he was available.
That was my guy, dude. People didn't pay attention to him, dude. Dan Enos at Arkansas was a stud. And when he was the head coach at Central Michigan, he quietly built a really good program there. And when he went to I want to go pull my show now from the day Nick Saban hired Dan Enos. Bro. He's a great offensive football coach, and he's great with quarterbacks. And Nick Saban just stockpiles him, bro.
Well, you saw that there was that the SEC produced something on Hugh Freeze for like 5 schools.
Wait, hey, hang on one second, dude. I want to do this because I just saw this before it passes. This guy, Brenton Hodges, said, hey, y'all take a sip with the people that are watching. Let's do that with everybody. Everybody that's watching together. Let's do this. Let's cheers together. Cheers to whiskey and wine and to raise your glasses, whatever you got in front of you, to an LSU win and to hopefully days of beating Alabama ahead. How about that? Cheers, everybody. All right, sorry to interrupt you, bro.
But, dude, I mean, like the quarterbacks coach thing, like I think that you have to have a quarterbacks coach on staff, somebody that can meet these guys that come off of one of these 3 and outs. Like LSU again for the second consecutive weekend punts, like on their first 7 drives of the game, or after the Jefferson touchdown, they punt like 8 times again. After last weekend punting 9 straight times, somebody that can meet this quarterback on the hash marks, on the numbers as he's coming off the field, just ask him simply, what did you see? What's the problem?
Yeah.
Like, what's the issue? What do you see? What's going on? Tell me what's going on out there. Tell me what you're communicating, what's going on with the offensive line, and just coach them up, man. I mean, like watching that Alabama game today, hearing Gary Danielson talk about Dan Enos and how his conversations with Tua yesterday or on Thursday, like you brought up Dan Enos' name and Tua just lights up. He just talks about how like he's helped him in just watching film, in building good habits, in breaking bad habits. And, just somebody that's with the quarterback. Mike Loxley's up for the Broyles Award, offensive coordinator for Bama. Like he's done a great job. He doesn't work directly with Tua every single rep.
You remember the conversation about that when they hired him?
What's that?
Remember the conversation about Loxley whenever Saban promoted him?
Yeah.
People went and pulled his record from New Mexico, and I'm like, y'all think Nick Saban is actually going to do something that he don't know what he's doing?
Man. Come on.
Something that hasn't been vetted and that he knows what type of offense he wants to run with that guy? Come on. Hey, Chris Barriant said, you two talk a lot of noise. Give us some solutions. All right, let's walk through this then, bro. You got 10 offensive assistants. All right, let's just assume defensive staff stays in place. Now, and honestly, dude, for me, this may not be popular, but Dennis Johnson, there's no way he should be a full-time assistant on the staff. They like him because he can recruit, but I've said this. It's not popular. I don't care. He's not a great defensive line coach. You have not seen Rashard Lawrence play great this year. Braden Foko has 16 tackles on the season. You've not gotten great production out of your defensive line. And that's the kind of thing where, man, that's a rookie mistake by Ed to hire that guy as a full-time assistant. You just got to just look up and down, man, look up and down Saban's coaching staff, man. You got former head coaches in position coaching roles now. So the question is, like, can you do better? That was my whole thing with Jerry Sullivan too. It's not to say the guy doesn't know how to coach receivers, but can you find someone who does more for you, that can coach receivers and can recruit and could be
Jerry
Jerry
Sullivan is a great example of a consultant.
Yeah, no
He's
doubt.
a phenomenal example of a consultant.
And I think Salisbury could be great at that too, but as a full-time assistant on staff, I just don't see it, bro. I mean, it's like that guy's never coached in college. He's never recruited. He's never coached NFL. Like, he's worked with quarterbacks. That's great. He may know a ton about the position. That's fantastic. I'm with you. Perfect consultant role. But those 10 on-field assistants you got to chair. So, like, for me, I'm totally cool retaining Steve Ensminger, sliding back to coach tight ends, bring Kendall. Like, my choice would be Kendall Browse to run your offense. Bring in Kendall Browse to run your offense, move Steve back to coach tight ends. I think James Craig has done a really good job. I think you're going to lose probably Jerry Sullivan, and I would go find a technically skilled, a younger receivers coach who can coach the position, because you haven't had that in a while. Les thought he had that in Tony Ball, and he sucked, and they got rid of him. They brought in Damian Craig, and he didn't know a lick about football, which was stunning. The story, I don't know about you, Jordy, like the stories I heard about, like, when they would go into halftime and Damian Craig, like, had literally nothing to offer because he just knew it was stunning for a guy who played the position.
The stories of Damian Craig are incredible. They're incredible.
I mean, anyway, yeah. So, like, fine. Like, I don't have a great idea for a name for a receivers coach for you right off the top of my head. Like, maybe, you know what I would do? Actually, I'd go to Arkansas and get Mike Smith. I get Michael Smith from Arkansas, who's from New Orleans, who is the guy who's recruited all these Louisiana kids to Arkansas. Bring him here. I know Les wasn't going to do it because he recruited dirty on Christian Fulton, and Les was never going to bring him here. But, bygones be bygones. Go get that guy. Get Mickey Joseph off staff, because he's only here to recruit New Orleans, and he can't coach a lick either of receivers. So get Mickey Joseph off staff. Bring Mike Smith here. Let him coach your receivers. Let him recruit New Orleans for you. Now you've freed up the issue with having someone recruiting New Orleans, and you bring Kendall Browse in to run your offense. Steve goes back to coaching tight ends. Pay him $500,000. I don't care what you pay him. Let him recruit North Louisiana again.
I got no problem with Ensminger coaching the quarterbacks.
Fine. Cool. I'm good with that too. Perfect. Let James Craig coach the tight ends as well with the offensive line. Whatever. That's fine with me.
I mean,
Anyway, so who's that guy? Chris Berry. You wanted solutions? There's my solution. Go to the University of Houston. Hire Kendall Browse to be your offensive coordinator. Kick Steve back down to tight ends coach. Get rid of Mickey Joseph. Bring Mike Smith in from Arkansas to coach your receivers and recruit New Orleans. There's my solution.
I mean, look, that makes sense. And, from Orgeron's standpoint, I think he's going to have to make some hard decisions. There's a lot of people in here talking about Jordy. That's your boy. Call him out. Well, look, I think we are. He's now settled in the job. As much as I expect him to have to make a hard decision about the offensive coordinator this offseason, I expect him to get an extension as well. Because to have the ability to win 10 games, if he beats Texas A&M, he wins 10 games in the regular season against this schedule. I think that deserves that deserves some type of compliment to it. But in the same sense, while he's done a very good job of bringing back the pride and restoring it here immediately in the short term of being on the job, from the long-term sense, you have to see what's working and what's not. And the offense ranked in triple digits after week 9 of the regular season. You have to step back and you have to look at your product and say, okay, guys, look, man, we've got enough resources. We've got enough recruiting grounds. We've got enough financial support. We've got everything that a championship program has, but we're very ineffective on the offensive side of the ball. How do we improve there? And it's very easy for Ed Orgeron to call down, give me the top 10 names of college offensive coordinators, Division II head coaches that have offensive backgrounds. Hell, give me the top 10 names of the high school coaches that have offensive minds in the country, and let me talk to them. Bring them in. If one of them fits as an offensive coordinator, then that's his decision to make that hire. But if they fit better as an analyst, and just put them in the barn, man. Just put them in the stable and let them sit there and tell you. I mean, like, there's a lot of myths and theories out there that I know that are true, that Hugh Freeze and Ed Ogeron don't get along.
Yeah, everyone was saying that. Like, I'll back that up, dude.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
People that knows,
exactly.
And it was from when Hugh was on staff with Ed at Ole Miss, they butted heads on some things.
They butted heads, and since then they haven't gotten along. But see, to me, from a professional standpoint, Ogeron needs to recognize that Hugh Freeze brings value to his program and has to set aside those personal feelings and say, look, man, what happened a decade ago? What happened 12 years ago? Here's what was my difference. Here's what my problem was. I'm asking you now to help me out and bringing you in my program. I can't deal with that type of stuff. If you still have that, we're gonna go separate ways. But look, I'm gonna be forthright and direct with you. This was my problem with you back then, but I recognize that you can help me now. Can you come on staff? And those are the types of hires that has to be made from this point moving forward for LSU to take the next level, to take the next step. Because LSU can play.
Hey, for what it's worth, by the way, Hugh Freeze doesn't reciprocate that feeling.
I know he doesn't.
Like, that's an Ed feeling about Hugh. Hugh would, like, if Ed Ogeron went to Hugh Freeze and said, hey, come on down and be my OC, I mean, hey, yo. You all right there, Brad?
Good.
All right. Like, that's not a reciprocated feeling, anyway. And, dude, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that Hugh Freeze would come. I think you listen to Feinbaum, though, this week. You heard Feinbaum this week who said, Hugh's going to talk to Gus and probably end up at Auburn next year. That makes a ton of sense, but if that happens, that's devastating for LSU.
Devastating. But look, man, you know what I can tell you that's not going to happen in the offseason? As much as I give you that theory and breakdown, is that he's not going to hire him.
Oh, Ed?
Like,
it ain't hiring.
It ain't happening. So
for all that Ed postures as being, wanting to be best, and like, actions speak louder than words, dog. I mean, the man hired, like, he retained Pete, and I think the world of Pete Jenkins. Like, I love the man, but like, Pete was 76 years old and wasn't going to recruit, and Nick negatively recruited LSU because of Pete. And was it kids Fedarian Mathis?
Did you see him today? Did you see him today?
No, I didn't. No.
Huge, bro. Like a defensive tackle that has size and skill, and he's not a player. I mean, he was playing in the fourth quarter of today's game. But like somebody at LSU begging for,
bro. And LSU's got one defensive lineman committed right now for 29. Anyway, but dude, my point is, like, you look at Ed, just look at his track record, man. He retained Pete. Pete's the one that told him about Jerry Sullivan, so he went and got Jerry Sullivan. Funding his retirement, got him want to recruit. Tommy Robinson was his friend. Went and got him. James Craig was his friend. Went and got. I mean, he's surrounded himself with dudes he's comfortable with. I mean, that's just the reality of it, man. And like, I think every staff has got, every coach has to have those guys, right? Like, confidants. I mean, Nick Saban kept Bobby Williams around forever, man.
That's right.
It's like you got to have those guys on staff that are your confidants and people you trust. But at the same time, too, I know we talked about a bunch. Nick went and got Lane. I mean, you bring in guys that are gonna make you better. I don't think he's done that, man. The Dennis Johnson hire, like, I can respect whenever Les was fired, and Ed made some moves on his staff, and they promoted. Who else? It was Mateos. He was a GA.
Yeah.
And they loved him, man. He was, like, really good. I think he got I don't know where he is now, but he got a job out of that, man. He did really well.
He did.
But that he wanted to. Ed felt like he wanted to do right by Meatball and let him recruit and everything. But there's no reason that, like, there is no. Just think about how counterintuitive it is that your first full-time assistant job at the college level is at a place like LSU. That don't happen, bro. I mean, the stories. You go, you go JUCO, you get the D line coaching job at McNeese, and then
Right.
you get the strength job at Arkansas, and then you go and your friend gets hired to be the head coach at Troy, and you become the defense, the running backs coach, and then you parlay that into the coordinator at Western Kentucky after 4 years, and then you're the coordinator at Duke. You know what I mean? Like that's how it
Yeah.
goes. Like it's just you don't just step in as a 20 something and become the defensive line coach at LSU. It's just I mean those are the kind of anyway. But dude, look, the reality is, man, there's a lot of people like, what are y'all bitching about? It's just people are asking for solutions. We're giving you solutions, man.
Bro,
All right, Jordan Ramirez asked about money. What if could they pay Cliff Kingsbury? What you think about that?
I would make a run at all those guys. Head coach, divisions, like give me the best. If I'm Ogeron, I'm calling down. Give me the best. Give me the list. I want the list. I want the best in Division One. I want the best in Division Two. I want the best JUCO. You know what? Give me the top 5 head coaches in high school or offensive coordinators in high school out there that could potentially be the next Gus Malzahn. Where is he at? And that's an easy phone call for Ogeron to make tonight and have that list on his desk by tomorrow at close of business.
Yeah,
I mean, like that can happen easily. And LSU's that type of job where you can pick up the phone and dial any representation or direct line to anybody on that list, and everybody's going to listen because you know why? Because they got deep pocketbook.
yep,
Because they got cash. Because we can pay
yep.
you $500,000 to call plays. And
More than
yeah,
that,
but
bro.
I'm saying minimum. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like minimum. First contract we're talking about is $500,000.
yeah.
So I mean,
Um,
Kingsbury's not going to leave a head coaching job for an OC. Another comment comes in. Okay, but you know what? If he loses his job at the end of the year and he looks around and there's not that many offensive coordinator or head coaching jobs available, and the LSU OC job is available for 2 years to get your name back on track, and then potentially, have another head coaching job down the line that's, bigger than Texas Tech. He takes the job. Oh, by the way, you're making, $1,500,000.
you know, bro, I'm looking at this comment. This guy said we're on track to be 11-2 and talking like we lost. Again, man, like for every 100 comments, there's one like that. But it just, I keep saying, man, it just goes back to what your expectations are, man. I think if you want to walk around and say, hey, man, on track to be 11, great. That's awesome. Enjoy it. I tell you what, bro, it's better than 8-3, like LSU
Yeah.
was in 2015 when they started off, undefeated, lost to Bama, got pummeled by Arkansas, walked and lost at Ole Miss before they rallied and beat A&M. Yeah, man, it's fine, bro. But if that's all you want, then cool. Then why are you watching
Yeah,
this? Like,
but to me,
show up at the stadium, cheer for your team, and go
to,
home. Live
to
your
me,
life. But if you want it to be better,
to me, celebrating 8-2 with players like Kevin Minter and Quan Alexander and Leonard Fournette and Jamal Adams
yeah,
and
dog,
Micah
you're
and
right.
and Dupree and all these cats, man, all these guys that are front end players that you're out recruiting Alabama and Clemson and all the big boys for, and you're settling on 8-9-3. That's the issue. That's the problem. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's the problem. I mean, if you're going to get John Emery, if you're going to get Sanders from IMG or Noah, or Kane or any of these guys, like they don't want to come here and win 10 games. And the reason why they're choosing the competition over LSU is because they have the chance to play for championships. And LSU's got no reason from a resource and recruiting ground standpoint that they shouldn't be right there with it. And the only thing that's holding LSU back right now, I mean, stats in our business can be telling, stats in our business can be misleading. Stats in this department tells the truth. The only thing that's holding LSU back right now is their offense. They're in triple digits.
Yep.
I mean, everything else, they're a championship program.
Bro. Carolyn said, yeah, and I thought Matt Canada was the best hire when they brought him in. The problem is, Matt, as we all know, like Ed didn't let Matt just have autonomy to run his offense. And truthfully, man, that'd be my one concern, man. If he goes and brings someone in, would he just hands off, say go run my offense. And I don't, judging by what we've seen, I don't believe he would.
I mean, you know what, man? Like, I hope he would, because if he can't look at his history, or if you can't even look at the guy that was here before you, I mean, that cost Les Miles his job. That cost Les Miles his job. You know, I mean, as much as he wants to tell you now that he would rather be coaching football, well, you could still be coaching football if you'd have looked Cam Cameron in his eyes and said, I appreciate you staying in my wedding 30 years ago, but you know what, man? I got to go get a 30-year-old now that can call 2018, 2017 college football plays. And that's what has to happen, man. That's what has to happen.
Someone asked about Kingsbury's contract. He makes 3.7 this year, 3.9 next year, then 4.1 in 2020.
Damn.
So it would cost
such good money in Lubbock.
Bro. Buying out the last 2 years would cost the school $4 million. So if Texas Tech wanted to fire him, it would cost them $4 million, which they got. So if things went south this year, they could pull it off if they wanted to. I don't have any connections at Texas Tech to know what they might be thinking, and truthfully, I don't think that would be the guy I'd want. Just because I don't think he's got experience, and certainly he's recruited Texas. I just don't think that throwing the ball 50 or 60 times a game is the style of offense that I'd want. But I'd want an offense that could be balanced if need be, and that's including RPOs, which Texas Tech doesn't really do. That's just air raid, throw it 50, 60 times a game. You know, but we'll see, dude. We'll see, man. We'll see what if anything happens throughout all this, man.
All right, man. But wrap this thing up for me. Tell me, give me 1 minute on Will Wade and LSU basketball team.
We done? What time did the game end?
9:45.
All right. Let's see, dude. I went last night. Sat behind LSU's bench. Watching Will Wade's impressive, bro. Just I probably watched him more than I watched the game.
Fucker coaches the whole time, doesn't he?
Watching him work the officials, watching him get pissed off at everything. He's super impressive. And man, look, that was a good team that played last night, bro. I mean, I'm glad Hunt's doing that podcast now. That basketball podcast. I'm glad he's doing it, man, because he kind of coached me up on that on Greensboro. I'd forgotten that they damn near beat Gonzaga.
Should have
in the
beaten
tournament
Gonzaga in the first round.
Yeah, I forgot. Dude, I just forgot that.
That's a veteran team, man.
Yeah. Started 2 seniors, 3 juniors. That's a good team, bro. See, LSU beat a good team last night, man. It's a good learning lesson for him. Naz Reid's an alien, dude.
He's so good. He's so good.
I mean, bro, he should have had an and one right at the end of the first half. They called him for an offensive foul, but it was a thing of beauty watching him drive the lane and go up and finish.
That's a 6'11" human being that can dribble the length of the floor off glass and pull up from 30 feet, man.
His 3-point shot's funny though.
He doesn't jump.
Because he doesn't jump. It's like a chest pass.
He doesn't jump. He doesn't get off the ground.
It is funny.
What about Marlon Taylor? He jumps.
Oh God! They tried an alley-oop to him last night. He missed the ball, but he was like his head was above the rim, like his neck was above the rim.
I can't wait to see this.
Like,
I'm telling you, Scone, this Memphis game is going to be great, because here's my theory on this backcourt for LSU. I love the fact that they start 3-point guards back there. You remember Mays ran the point for this program 2 years ago. Tremont, obviously, the primary ball handler for the last 2 years, and then you bring in the top point guard in the state, Javante, and all 3 of those guys are starters in game 1 of this season. In a team like Memphis, who loves to press. I mean, they play like that Nolan Richardson 40 minutes of hell type game, where they press you and put a lot of pressure on you. I mean, you got potential for a lot of like runouts because of LSU's capability of handling the ball and handling pressure. So I can't wait for Tuesday night's game. I like what they've done here in the short term in the scheduling process of trying to find out who they were. You mentioned that UNC Greensboro team, a lot of seniors on that squad. They went to the tournament last year, gave Gonzaga everything they wanted in the opening round. And in fact, last night, watching that second half, they came back and put some pressure on LSU and had to make them and forced them to play 40 minutes. And for LSU squad early on in the season, that's a really good test. So I'm looking forward to it. What are you going to ask Ogeron on Monday?
Normally I do prep Monday morning, thinking back. Let me see. What is interesting about that though, Jordy? Like a lot of people, I was checking Twitter during the game, and people are like, when is the when is the Baton Rouge media ever going to hold the coach's feet to the fire and ask him about, fill in the blank? And it's something to do with like a play call or a scheme. It's like,
Insminger.
truthfully, that's even still, it's not the media's job to say, why aren't you running more RPOs? Like that's if I had like, all right, well, I mean, I'll never get him on my show, but like, if he were to come on my show, you could do deep
Let me know
dive
what to
stuff
ask
like
you,
that.
bro. I got him.
But will the Prince let you ask the questions that I'd like? Because I mean, is that a thing that could happen, or will that get nixed?
What?
I'm actually serious.
Probably next.
Yeah, no shit, right? It's laughable, bro. The head coach at LSU will go on a Tuscaloosa radio station, but he won't go on afternoon drive in Baton Rouge. All right, whatever. And New Orleans and Alexandria and CST. All right. It's all good, bro. Hold a grudge, dick. We'll see how this ends.
Loves the morning show.
Anyway. He does love the morning show, bro. Y'all got him hired, right? Oh shit. No, I don't, dude. I don't know what I'll ask him on Monday, man. I try to keep it somewhat game centric. We'll see how people react to all this and everything. If we get a chance postseason presser, I'd probably ask him. Obviously if he'll make any changes on his offensive staff or things like that, but he wouldn't answer it. I'm looking back at my notes to see if that, like, because you asked me that question, what would you ask him?
It would have to be centered around the offense, not necessarily a change within the regular season, but I mean, just if when you made the change on the offensive side, did you envision this is where you would be? You know what I mean? Like it's just a lot of the same. You know what I mean?
But like specifically for a press conference setting, and this is probably what gets lost sometimes, and it's tough for you and me because we do radio shows, but you go sit in a press conference and the setting is just different, and the expectation is different. So it's like, if I would probably phrase a question like this, Coach, your team is ranked 103rd nationally in total offense. Why aren't you better right now? What's not going right for your offense? That's how you'd have to phrase a question. Anything else is leading, right? You don't want to ask a leading question like, Coach, why aren't you running more RPOs? Well, there's probably so much like specificity to that there's no way he could explain it in a press conference setting like that, right? So, but I just don't know what answer you get to that. But with Ed, you never know, man, because I mean, he is the kind of guy that'll give you candor in a press conference. So I don't know, man.
What's up, Val?
What's that?
I was telling Val to chill out. He gets a lot of softballs in the interviews.
He wouldn't with me, bro. But he ain't coming on with me, man. It's just, and I get it, dude. I do, but the other part of it too is and I'm serious about this. Like Ed, he's not a great interview, man. He gives very, very short answers, and seldom, I mean, do you agree? I don't know what you call it.
That's from his phase as the interim, where he didn't want to say the wrong thing, and I think that he's carried that over to the full time, because he is. I mean, like there's no better example of how tough of an interview he is than listening to his own radio show.
Oh, dude.
I mean, dude.
You could ask him 300 questions. You could ask him 300 questions and not get through 10 minutes.
Like, it's
for sure.
Whoa, Coach, you got to give me something. You got to give me something. Like, I'm trying to help you out. This is your show. Like, tell me about what's going on with the offensive line. Oh, we're pretty good. I think we're healthy. We'll be all right this week.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, tell me, what did you think about the play calling last week? I thought it was pretty good. We need to get better this week. Oh, yeah, damn. Dude. What's going on at the punt return spot? Do you think you might change out Jonathan Giles? No, he's our guy. Oh shit!
Right. I mean,
Oh man.
when he came on with y'all that year when he was out of
Dude, he
coaching,
was so
was
good.
he was better?
Yes, he was great.
So what's the
I think
problem?
that he's just so guarded. He's so protected. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing. I think that, like people like Robert Munson and those guys are steadily watching what he says, and they're continuing to protect the brand, which from their standpoint, I get. But I think that he's so now closed off. I think another great example is like his Go Tigers thing. Like he knows what he's
Yeah.
going in, what he wants to say, what he wants to get done. It's all going to be very coach speak. X, Y, and Z. Let's get in, get out, go Tigers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just
Good luck.
let me not say anything to get me in trouble. I mean, like if you've ever asked him anything that doesn't necessarily center around football or the football program, I mean, like look at him. He's always like 3 seconds, like, hey, that's not me. That's not my
Yeah.
job. I'm just here to coach a football team.
No, you're not. Jeremy Freeman said, Matt, why don't you ask for an off-air interview? Well, like I don't know if you mean like off the record. I mean, what an off the record
Yeah,
interview
in our
does me no
business,
good.
we could tell you we do that all day.
Yeah, I mean that's you have and that's one of the things that I'm sure you probably feel the same way, Jordy. It's there's a million conversations you have in a week or over the course of a season or whatever that never make it to air.
Absolutely.
And you learn that early on. It's like how you handle sensitive information determines whether or not you continue to get sensitive information.
Very well.
And so it's not that you go to air with that information, but you use that to help craft opinions and shape opinions about things. So that's, I mean, as far as, me asking for an off-air interview with Ed, it's just, that doesn't serve any purpose. I mean, like for my own personal knowledge, I don't care. I'd want to serve my audience. Like the reason I would want to have the coach on my show is for the audience, right? I mean, it's so
Sure.
the people not because I give a shit what he has to say, but because my audience wants to hear from the head coach. Like that's why you do it, and that's why I would. But if he says no, like I've been told point blank, Ed will go on any show on our station except mine. So, okay, I mean, what you want me to do? I ain't going to bitch and moan about it. I'm just going to keep doing me. So, whatever. I don't know, bro. Look, man, here's the thing. They won tonight. They're 8 and 2 right now? 8-2. 8-2. They got 2 more to go. They'll beat Rice because did Rice win today? Did you happen? Like I'm asking, like you actually checked the fucking Rice score.
Yeah, I am a degenerate. I haven't reached that level just yet.
They were Rice was
That's some odd stats.
1-9. They lost. They were 1-10. Rice was 1-9. They lost today. They lost to Louisiana Tech 28-13. So Rice is 1-10. You're going to beat the hell out of Rice. They won their opener against Prairie View from the SWAC, and they've lost every game since. So I mean, you're going to win next week. Obviously, you're going to go to 9-2, and you're going to go to College Station, man, with a chance for double-digit wins. And I mean, that's a hell of a season, man. It is, and I know, dude. I know we've been.
Yep.
I know how this tonight sound. I get it, man. I get it. From everyone who's like, man, why aren't you more positive? They won. I get it. I get it. But it's just, it's hard not to look at tonight and go, man, you went and played a shitty team, and you just got muddy against that team. And it's just hard to look around college football and see other teams being progressive and advancing, and you're just stuck. That's the hard thing about a game like this. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Hey man, look, I wanted with the change in the coach, and look, everybody's that was your boy Jordy, that was your guy. You got him. All right, chill.
Yeah, it's your fault.
My fault.
The kingmaker, right?
Exactly. Exactly. But
dude, I love it. Well, no, honestly, dude, I mean, I do listen to y'all when I'm in the car, but I hear that every Saturday because T-Bob plays it. We play it on pregame. So like I hear it every Saturday. The funniest part is all the graphics on it. It's like that.
Yeah, the graphics are great. fucking winch. You got it fucking coming, huh?
T-Bob said today, he's like, none of the curse words are even written in there. It's like Jordy just can't help himself whenever he starts doing it.
I thought he cut out my best cuss scene last week when we were talking about the fucking pig farmers.
Wait,
We were talking about the golden
out?
goose. It's protected by a bunch of fucking low life fucking pig farmers.
No, that was in there.
Yeah, but he cut out the second part where I was like, bunch of fucking low lifes. I think T-Bob's watching right now.
Oh God! Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. T-Bob, where's Hey, bro, your boy. There he is. There he is. Worm tongue back off my bro. What is that about? Oh, dude, the funniest thing, man. Oh, I told you at halftime, but I'll tell all the people that are here right now. So we're out there for pregame today, and we're watching Bama and Mississippi State. So for those that don't know how our studios, like, have you ever watched this before? We have the set that we sit at, and then there's a space between the set and the producer that you have to go to walk out the door. And the TVs are above the producer. So T-Bob is like walking in front of the desk, and he's looking up at the TVs, and Bama scores, so State is receiving a kickoff, and the kid calls for a fair catch at the 10-yard line and makes it right at the 10. And T-Bob goes, "Come on! Are you kidding me? He just fair caught the ball at the 10-yard line. What are you doing?" Like, he's yelling at the team. And I'm like, "Hey, Dick, it goes to the 25 now. You can't catch the." He's like, "Oh, really? My bad."
When did they change that, bro? I mean, when did that happen?
Bro, then the best is after that, we have Gordy on later, and he starts like moaning about Dan Mullen not reviewing a fumble, and I'm like, he's like yelling about the Bama game, and I'm like, Dan, what are you talking about? Like, he didn't realize like Dan Mullen wasn't coaching Mississippi State.
What?
Joe Moorhead didn't like. Damian Harris from Bama fumbled early
on the opening drive of the game.
Yeah, they didn't review it. So he's like, Dan Mullen's not reviewing the thing. Like, yeah, that's he doesn't coach there anymore.
Mullen and Brissett are gonna be the fucking main characters of bad beats this week.
Oh, bro, what's Brissett doing, man? You gotta score there.
I mean, dude.
Anyway, poor T-Bob.
Poor
I just
T-Bob.
crushed him again.
Poor T-Bob. All right, bro.
And now T-Bob's starting this narrative. He said Matt thinks LSU's defense is bad. No, I don't. I think their rush defense has been bad against good rushing teams. They were bad against Georgia. They were bad against Florida. They were bad against A&M or Alabama. And I think A&M is going to run the ball against LSU. I do.
Oh, look at the fat boy talking shit. These two bald fucks. Fat fuck.
Hey, do you think that T-Bob's jealous that he's not invited?
Oh man, we saw that at Whiskey and Wine series number 1, show number 1. All right, bro, I'm going dancing.
All right, dude. Enjoy your night,
All
man.
right.
Thanks to Static Medicine, Nantation Clinics of Louisiana. Thanks to Register Bar. Y'all like their links are at the top of this page. Y'all do us a favor, click on them and like both those businesses, man. It helps us a ton.
Allison Collins playing right now over the register. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Scone. Later, bro.
Later, dude. See you, man.